Hello and happy Samhain or Halloween, whatever you celebrate. I am excited to be with you today, doing some oracle card readings. I'll also be doing I'm going to share with you a little bit about how I use oracle cards for spiritual practice. Yes, but I will be doing one card readings as well. This is such a special day. I know those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, it is Samhain, it's one of the Sabbats, which is a Celtic festival day of the year. But then if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's Beltane, which I know is on the flip side. So it's kind of like up here in the north, we're releasing, we're letting go. Fall is very much here. But Beltane is all about what's coming into fruition, and yeah, so it's the flip side. But what is very relevant for both of us in the north and the south is that this is the day of the year, both of those days, where the veils are at their thinnest. So it's traditional to connect with our ancestors, for example, to ask for guidance, to connect in with any communication that we want to make together. And last week in my membership in the sanctuary, we did a beautiful meditation that actually came in the moment. I had planned for us to use the thinning of the veils to connect in with the ancient grandmothers of the earth and anyone we wanted to connect with, to really embrace that energy of the veils being thin. As we have a monthly circle every month. But yeah, what ended up coming in was connecting with loved ones lost, which was a really beautiful and moving experience. So shout out to anyone who was there with me, who co-created that space. But yes, today is a very, very special day. So let's use that energy. Let's embrace that energy where the veils between the worlds are at their thinnest, and open the space together. So just placing our hands on our heart. In the center of your heart, imagine a beautiful flower. Invite that flower to open petal by petal, revealing a light in the middle. And this light is your ancient self, the soul, the spirit, and part of you that chose to be here in this body at this time, in this life. Invite that part of you really to be present now. And if you have a question that you would like guidance on, I always like to, like in true Way of the Mystic style, live into questions. So maybe there's a question you're living into. So it's not necessarily like I have to have an answer before I do anything. It's like I'm curious, I'm wondering into this question, this area of my life. And then just acknowledging, particularly those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, perhaps any positive ancestors that we are wanting to connect with today, tonight. And maybe there's strength of our positive ancestors that we want to call upon, or maybe there's something from our ancestry that we're wanting to release, putting that wish out into the world now. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, perhaps tuning into what seeds you've already planted this year and what you would like to bring into fruition in the coming months. And also tuning into that question that you may be living into right now. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Beautiful. Okay, so I will be doing readings on request, one card reading, so I can get through as many as possible. If you would like to share the question that you're living into right now, your prayer, pop them in the comments. And then just quickly, I want to share with you the way I work with oracle cards. And this doesn't mean that if you work with them in a different way, it's just the way that I resonate with them. I like to use oracle cards as a gateway to connect in with my soul, the voice of my soul, my intuition, and the sacred. I think that both are connected. And so I imagine my soul being connected to the intelligent pulse of life, that same intelligence that tells the flowers when to bloom, the seasons to come and go, the planet to spin. The word oracle comes from the Latin word orare, which means to pray or speak to the sacred, the divine. And I see the sacred as existing within us, as within all living things, from plants to trees, stones to flowers, to the entire cosmos as the ordered universe. So yeah, they're different. I see them as doorways, gateways to connect in with our intuition, with our soul, with the sacred. And so that's what we're going to be doing today as I do my readings. I'll be pulling a card, and I want you to see them, if I pull one for you, as a possible gateway to connect in with your own inner voice, with your own guidance, with the question that you're living into. I use oracle cards as a part of my daily practice, whether it's like the quickest way is like just pulling a one card reading. But you'll also find that, like in my decks, including the Rose Oracle, but other decks as well, at the end, if you read the guidebook copy, I always have some kind of call to action, whether it's an activation, an affirmation, a soul inquiry, or a grounded action to take. This is because, I think that receiving guidance, receiving ideas, receiving inspiration is amazing. So great. And it's a way to bring the soul into the body and hear it and spend time with it. But it's kind of pointless unless we find a way to act on it. So yeah, this is really the opportunity of like becoming embodied. And I like the physicality of oracle cards, but also the call to action, which I've included in all of my guidebooks, to be like, okay, so what is the baby step that I'm going to take as a result of this? Because I think it can just be frustrating if you're just like pulling cards, and then you're not turning it into action. If you're just kind of like continuing to ask questions, but just, really use it as a doorway and be like, okay, cool. So how is this card speaking to me? What's a baby step I can take in that direction today? That's my number one way of working with oracle cards. Another way is to meditate on the card itself, whether it may be meditating on the card name, it may be meditating on the image that you see. You can do an open-eyed meditation, or you can receive the card visually and then hold it to your heart. And whether it's 60 seconds or even 10 minutes, you could find a song that resonates with the card here. So this is Sophia, Divine Plan, Wisdom, Intelligence Within, Destiny. You could go on Spotify and find a song about Sophia as creator of the Divine Plan, or read the guidebook and be like, okay, let me find a song that resonates with that, and then meditate to that. Not that it has to be to a song, but that's another way. And I would say my all-time I've got two other ways. My all-time favorite way is when I find a card that really speaks to me, particularly if I'm pulling a card on something, say for the week or whatever. And I do this with my team once a week. We take it in turns of pulling a card for that week. And we'll all take that card, and it'll be our theme for the week, like within the sanctuary or within our community. And we'll create an altar around it. So you can see just behind me, I've got the card of the week just up there. And so I love doing that. Again, altars are like physicalizing, anchoring, bringing into the physical, the sacred, which is, another way to like embody the guidance. And then finally, it's no secret that I love intuitive writing. I call it soul inquiry. You might call it journaling, and so you can journal on, like, for example, a soul inquiry could be like, what does this card want me to know today, or what is my soul whispering to me today based on this card, for example. or if you go into the guidebook and there will be a soul inquiry or some kind of inspiration in the guidebook, you can make that your soul inquiry. So that is what I wanted to cover before jumping into the readings now, which I am going to do. Oh, someone's making a lovely compliment about my nails. Thank you very much. They're very red. My son is obsessed with red at the moment, and so I've been buying lots of red things just to please him. It's pretty, yeah, that's my life. I do love red though, especially this time of year. I love wearing black and boots, knee-high boots, and red lipstick. It's Scorpio season. I'm Scorpio rising, so I love it. I love it. Okay, so I am going to pull a card for Julie RS. Your card is... Sophia! What a coincidence. So this is all about the codes of life, the divine plan. It's feminine embodiment, I would say. But really it's tapping into that wisdom within, the blueprint within us. So I'm curious, I guess you're in the southern hemisphere, but this could be a Beltane type card as well, because it is tapping into the seeds that are planted within you. And it relates to this time of year as well, because we go into winter. It's like, what are we really being called to surrender to, which is part of our destiny, part of the divine plan. And I see the divine plan as being like, I'm such a big believer in like creating your own destiny as well. But I think from a soul perspective, I do think that there are some things that we agree to do or are potentially like plots along our destiny, and still they take free will and grounded action and working on the craft and all of that. But yeah, this is really about like, what future rose gardens do you want to see bud and bloom within you? And if there's something that you're questioning, is it part of my plan? Is it part of my path? This is like the destiny card. So it's a beautiful one. And so to really tap into that intelligent pulse that I was talking about before, like following a golden thread. So that is your card today. Beautiful, Julie. It's a lovely card. Okay, Dorit, a card for you. This is the Rose of Venus, and I'm reading from the Rose Oracle today. And yeah, this is all about alignment, flow, harmony. It is also about like relationships, like not necessarily just romantic relationships, but you can see here the beautiful couple. Maybe you can or can't, but there's a beautiful couple at the top of the rose there who are coming together. And so that can be like in a marriage as well as out of marriage, not that it has to be between a man or a woman or anything, but yeah, it's about like finding balance and harmony and flow. And Venus obviously is connected to love, also connected to the goddess, so it is quite a feminine embodiment card. But again, you can see the spirals in this card too. Again, it does have a similar feel to the Sophia card in the sense of like, it's like, trust the flow, allow the alignment to happen, do what is in alignment. So particularly this time of year, it's like letting go of what's no longer in alignment in order to really embrace what you're being called to create and receive and all of that. So either it's like it's all happening, it's the alignment is here, or stepping into that thing that's in even more alignment. Okay, so next, Elizabeth Sanders, a card for you. Your card is Release the Petals, which is a perfect card for Northern Hemisphere right now. So this is really all about honoring endings. And actually, I'm doing a free honoring endings ritual, which is part of a 2-part free sacred experience that begins on Thursday. So you can join for free. I think it's rebeccacampbell.me/live. And yeah, we're literally doing it honoring endings ritual together, whether that's like honoring an ending that was like unacknowledged for you in the past, or just something that you're ready to let go of right now. But that's what this card is all about. It's about embracing transformation. But in order to embrace transformation, we need to let go. We need to allow the death to happen for rebirth to happen. My rose garden has one rose left, and a lot of petals on the earth, and a lot of rose hips. I've been drying the rose hips for the winter. And yeah, the rose is teaching us this. You can see here it's the woman who's releasing the petals to the wind in order for the chance to do it all over again. And when the rose releases the bloom, it leaves space for sometimes a second bloom, and if not a fruit, like the rose hips to come in, the fruit to come. Oh, hi Venetia, happy Samhain. Yeah, so a beautiful, beautiful card for today, especially. Very auspicious. All right, who would like a card? Michelle Sedgwick, a card for you. I love it when this card comes up, because it really is, I think, the most powerful card in the Rose Oracle. It's called the Wastelands, and it is all about sustainability, recovering, treating yourself gently, resting, replenishment. And so like a good soul inquiry for this one is like, what has an expiry date in your life, or what's no longer sustainable? Again, there is a letting go in this card, which is such a beautiful time of year to do it. Like honoring those endings, honoring what's ending, honoring maybe where we might be like pushing ourselves a little bit too much, honoring those things that are leaving us depleted, and finding ways to properly rest and recover and rejuvenate. So, it says here, tend to your own garden. You can see the woman there. I don't know if you can see, but her dress is essentially a rose, and she's in parched land, but she's going into devotion. She's going into replenishment. She's going into recovery and rest. And you can see the waters that are appearing all around her, and the bounty that will come. There's a beautiful story called it's from an old ancient story, French story called the Elucidation. You may want to look up. I've spoken about it quite a bit, or if you have the Rose Oracle, it's written in this card. But essentially, it's about like returning to a balanced relationship with the earth and the feminine and the garden, and realizing we never got kicked out of the garden. So it's a really beautiful card, and yeah, in my opinion, the most powerful in the Rose Oracle. So yes, more cards. I'm also, there's a tomorrow I'll be sending an email out if you're on my email list, and if you're not, just head to rebeccacampbell.me/newsletter. And yeah, there's a card reader course that is available for 60% off tomorrow. So I'll be emailing about that if you want to deepen your own personal reading skills, like just for yourself or professionally. That will be coming out as well. Okay, so Jamie, it's your birthday. Okay, a Jamie birthday card. Another winter theme card. I'm loving the timing of all of this. This is the Fertile Void. And yeah, it really is the descent into the winter. It's all about inner winter. I teach a lot about the inner seasons, which can coincide with the outer seasons, but sometimes we go through periods where the winter lasts for some time. I've just come out of a 3 or 4 year, I'd say 4 year inner winter. and spring has returned. But when I look back, I'm like, yeah, it's because I gave myself an inner winter that is finally here. I mean, I would have loved it to be here earlier, but sometimes it doesn't work like that. So this is really about, it's a potent card. It is about potency, but it's also, again, similar to the Wastelands, about rest, recovery, like slowing down, patience. So being patient. I know sometimes that when we want guidance, we don't always get it in the moment. And my teachers taught me that sometimes that means wait. And yeah, that's definitely been a big learning for me. So I don't know if that resonates with you. But the other thing about this card, and I feel this sometimes, like it's dark here in the UK. We've just had our clocks change, and when I walk home from work at this time of year, it's like it's so beautiful because it's like you're in the cloak of night. It reminds me of this card here in the fertile void of winter. And so it is like about secret beginnings, potency. Louise, it's the Rose Oracle that I'm using, which is it here, which is my Oracle deck. But yeah, so there's a real magic in here. If we can trust the winter and like really tend to the seeds of the winter, trust that beneath the soil, things have never been more active, and to replenish, rest, have patience, tend to the garden. That's what this card is all about. All right. So next person is, let me take a look. Who would like a reading? Zoe Hawks or Hawkes. Okay. Oh, you got the same one as before. So I've already done this reading, but there's a double thing in here for us around the Rose of Venus. So I'm actually going to read it because sometimes I'm like, okay, maybe there's something in the guidebook that needs to be said. So yeah, the soul inquiry for this, if you want to write it down to journal on later, is what's no longer in alignment with who you're being called to be? What's no longer in alignment with who you're being called to be? So this really is an invitation to look at anything that doesn't feel like it's in alignment. It's a reminder to trust in the tapestry of your life, your ever-changing nature, and to be dedicated to living a life that's fully in alignment. And what a great time to do that when we're at such a powerful time of year. I know I feel really powerful at this time of year as things are beginning to fall away. I like listening to music that has that kind of like uplifting, but also kind of like releasing feeling to it. And it does, it's that kind of embracing that bittersweetness of like, in order for something to bloom again, we do need to loosen our grip of the things that once served us, but maybe not so much anymore. Begin to let go, let things fall away. And that might be in our schedule, so we're not so busy. It might be in relationships that we might be investing a little bit more in. And it's not to say that you have to walk away from people, but it might just mean like, actually, I want to tend to my self-care a little bit more, or maybe there's different directions that you're being called in. I've had a conversation with a couple of friends actually of like, we've all been like almost like apologizing to each other of like, oh, we've missed some birthdays, or oh, sorry, I'm taking a while to get back to text messages or whatever. It doesn't have to be a big personal thing or a big thing of like, oh gosh, I need to like change all this stuff in my life or like shed all these relationships. It might just be like, just trust where you're being called to spend your time a little bit more. So yeah, a great one. So I feel like that's one for all of us if it's come up twice. So what's no longer in alignment with who you're being called to be? What's no longer in alignment with who you're being called to be? Beautiful. So yes, so some really powerful messages for us. I'm wishing you a wonderful Samhain or Beltane, wherever you are. Remember, the veil's extra thin at the moment. So, if there is a loved one who's passed, a positive ancestor, or a guide, or whoever you work with that you want to connect with, like this, they say, the ancients have said that this is a very, very special time of year to reach out to across the veils, as they say. And I think also it's a great time of year to connect in with ourselves too. I think it's like when the veils are thin, it can be the veils like to connect within too. So just do whatever feels good for you. And yeah, again, that soul inquiry that seems to be coming up for us is all about alignment. So what's no longer in alignment with who you're being called to be. So we are ever-changing beings in an ever-changing world. Change is the constant. And, healing is a never-ending state of change and transformation, initiation. All of that is all about really trusting the sacred intelligence of nature that tells us to let go and to not try and control and make things have to be a certain way all the time. To realize that we are just like the seasons, we're just like the tides rolling in and out, we're ever changing, like the leaves falling off the trees. So yeah, really embracing this time of year. If you're in the north, it's probably more about a shedding and letting go in order to descend into the potency of winter. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's like on the flip side. So it's like change is like going into the bursting flowers that are opening. What is wanting to bloom within you? What are you being called to step more into? So a really powerful time of year. And yeah, it's been lovely spending it with you. And if you would like to deepen your card reading skills, check out for my email tomorrow, rebeccacampbell.me/newsletter. And if you'd like to further embrace this amazing shedding, release the petals energy, I'll be leading a ritual which is free on Thursday called the Honoring Endings Ritual. It's one I've done with my membership before. I'll be changing it a little bit and trying a couple of new things, but I will be leading that on Thursday. So if you would like to honor an ending in your life, it could be a relationship maybe that's changed. And oh gosh, I think friendships in particular are so tricky when to honor the ending because they're just not really that acknowledged. Like, a romantic relationship's got a bit more of like societal acknowledgement than friendship endings do. Might be a period of your life, it might be a job, it might be just something that you're being called to loosen your grip on. So I'll be leading that ritual on Thursday, and you can join for free at rebeccacampbell.me/live. Or just head to my page. You'll find the link somewhere. But yeah, I hope you have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening, and yeah, I'll see some of you on Thursday, and if not, I'll be back next week for some more readings.